Because of you, I got this in Ireland, so I thought this would be the perfect time to wear it. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. Thank you, David. How fun. You let me do what I love. And you give me an opportunity to share some moments with all of you. I really appreciate this. There are handouts for you, so if you don't have one, please feel free to pick it up. David was very gracious. He asked me if I needed a PowerPoint. I said, no, I'm the entertainment. I will just have a handout for you so that you will know what I'm going to be doing. And in light of the time, I am going to truncate the presentation. Not that I don't want to speak to you, but I'd be here till noon if you really wanted to hang out. So what we're going to do is I will go through some of this information and then address any questions that you might have. The first thing I want to say to you is this. I am so grateful that all of you as leaders in your community are interested in what it means to be grateful. Gratitude is an important piece that is missing from so many people's lives. We are so stressed that we're running around all the time and we don't take the time to say, what am I grateful for today? And when I walked in and I told David, I said, you know, I've been here since 7:30. I got to know more about Dublin than I really wanted to because I found so many beautiful areas up here. I've never been to this particular location. So I'm driving around thinking, where is this club? The GPS took me to Strathmore Drive, somewhere straight something, and I saw the golf course, but I didn't see the country club. So I meandered my way back looking, and you have a wonderful hidden treasure here. So I called David, I said, I can't find the club, but I will promise to be there by 8 to speak. So I was stressed because I had in my mind I'd be here at 7:30, and then I started to think, what am I grateful for? The sun is out. I'm going to be getting to meet new people. I get to do what I love, which is speak and train and talk to people about things that I love and share moments that are memorable with other people. So I kept going through this in my mind. And as I turned on the road, a very nice gentleman in some big car stopped. I think he saw I was confused because I was slowing down. And as I turned, I said, I'm just looking for the country club. He said, you just missed it. So I came back, found it, and I'm glad to be here, and I'm not stressed. Now, I'm going to tell you something about your body. Some of you may know this. You cannot be stressed and grateful at the same time. The body cannot process those two separately. In other words, you can't do it together. It has to do it separately. So when you are stressed, instead of, you take a deep breath. Say, what am I grateful for right now? What is it that I can be thankful for? And the stress will dissolve. Now, some of you get highly stressed and you don't know what you're grateful for because you're so angry and upset. The truth of the matter is, it's all up here. It's all what you perceive, and what may stress Sarah may not stress me. But what stresses me out may not stress David or anyone else. So let's go through this. I created the 10 principles of gratitude. Gratitude relieves stress. So you breathe, you think, and you thank. That's basically the premise here. What does it mean gratitude opens the door of the heart? Because we are all connected here to each other. Not romantic. I know this is around Valentine's Day, but what I'm talking about is truly being in a state of acceptance and appreciation for other people. And if you can do that every day and wake up every morning and say, what am I grateful for? What am I grateful for? It'll make a big difference in your attitude for the day. Oh, you've done this. You get up in the morning, you feel great, you get out on the road, you hit all this traffic, then you hit all these stop signs, and you hit all the red lights, and then you think, oh my God, all these people I have to work with, all these stupid idiots, and I can't believe it, and these vendors, and then you just work yourself up into a tizzy. By the time you get to work, you're not in a very great mood. So it is your decision. So I want to drop down here to number 4. The more grateful you are, the less stress you have. Period. It's that simple. So as soon as you start getting this tension, take a deep breath, let it go, and think to yourself, this moment passes. You know, ladies and gentlemen, time is very difficult for us. time is not forgiving. It passes, and you miss a moment. It keeps going. It doesn't say, oh, go back and do it over. Let's rewind and try it again. It just keeps going. So every time you have a moment that you can be grateful, you capture that moment. You capture that time. And that propels you forward. So think about that. As the time passes, how are you using it? Are you being upset, debilitating your immune system, preventing yourself from being able to breathe effectively, being upset about something that's going to be useless and not that important in another week? And when you think about it, when it passes, it's all over. And yet, you know, people dwell on the past and what happened yesterday and 10 years ago and those kinds of things. So you really have to let that go and realize that it's up to you. And it affects your health, it affects your mental attitude, and it affects your relationships. I also want to draw attention to the number 9. Appreciate even the most difficult circumstances because all events serve you in some way toward your personal growth. So what is the benefit of you going through a difficult situation? I was coaching someone recently. She's going through a divorce. And she didn't want her husband to leave her, and it was just one of those things. And I said, all right, let's talk about this. What is the worst that can happen? She said that he leaves me. I said, and what is the best that can happen? And she said that he leaves me because the marriage was in such a shamble. So I said, when you can be grateful that you are able to see this, that is your point of wisdom. The instantaneous recognition that the balance is always there. And as long as you capture that moment, then you can move on. But if you keep hanging on to the past out of guilt, and you keep hanging on to the future out of fear, and you're afraid so you don't move forward, you're suspended. And time keeps moving. Being grateful any moment that you can for whatever you have. Look at this place. I love the grill room. It's cozy. I know you'd probably be rather in another room, and I get that, because it was almost apologetic when Dave said, now we're going to be in the grill room. I hope it's okay. I don't know the difference. So I'm just glad to be here. What do you think? There you go. Now, I do want to push a little bit on something. And that is that the people on number 6, just so you know where I am, the people who have given you the very worst problems and the very most challenging situations are your best teachers. I'm telling you, I go kicking and screaming to all of my lessons. I don't want to learn them. And I have lots of teachers who show up in my life, believe me. And one of the teachers I had, and to this day, we have a very interesting relationship in that we do speak. But when she fired me, because I was beyond what I should have been doing, you can't work that fast. You can't work that hard. You have to go back and do this over because you're working too quickly. And I thought, well, that's very interesting. I'm saving money and time, and here's what's happening. So in any event, when I was fired, I was very upset until I realized it was the best thing that could have happened, because I would have withered and died in the organization. And my leaving was the step forward that I needed. So when I left, I wrote her a letter, and I thanked her. And I said, thank you. Thank you for all of the difficult times we've shared and all of the moments of growth that I've had through that association. Because of you, I'm now traveling the world and doing what I love. And if she had not been so adamant and made it so difficult for me to remain, I had to be true to myself. So we went through quite a bit before I was finally told, you have to go, and then I agreed. So I'm telling you that even in those most dark and difficult times, those are the greatest growth opportunities. You don't grow as much when you're hanging out with people who like you. You don't grow as much when you're hanging out at work and doing the things you enjoy doing and everything's going just fine. Your greatest growth takes place in the moment where you are challenged to live up to what you believe. Oh, it's easy to say, I want to treat people just the way I want to be treated. No, how do you treat yourself sometimes? You've got to think about that, right? And how do you treat other people? And what does that mean to you? So in those moments of, what am I grateful for? Just change your mind. They say people don't like change. Just as an aside to let you know, people love change. They love it, as long as they're in charge, right? Right, Sue? As long as I'm going to make a few changes. I'm going to change jobs. I'm going to change the living room around. I'm going to change a few things. I'm going to change my mind. That's the big thing we do. We change our minds. But then people say we don't like change. Well, I'm on the outside. I say no. People love change as long as they're in control. So what can you control or what can you do? And that leads me to number 10. Follow the formula by Dr. Jack Canfield. E plus R equals O. Be thankful for the event. And how you respond to an event affects the outcome. And yes, people are events. You know that. There are people in your lives who are events. Here they come again. That difficult staff member, that hard to live with individual, that challenging child, that hard to deal with vendor. It's all there.
Well, Lynn, are you sure this came from Canfield? I thought this was Urban Meyer's.
Yes. Allow me to share that with you. I did this deliberately. Thank you for asking. 20-some years ago, I studied with Dr. Jack Canfield, and he shared this. And he said, this is a formula for life. So I taught it, and I always attributed it to Dr. Canfield. He wrote How to Build High Self-Esteem. He has a PhD in education. He's one of the authors of Chicken Soup for the Soul. And so when I worked with him and studied with him, I said, I want to use this in my trainings. He said, go right ahead, because this is for everyone. So the event is neutral, and how you respond affects the outcome. Every event is seen as an opportunity to learn, then you can be grateful. Otherwise, you resent the event, and you get angry with the event, whether it's a person or a situation. So by using this formula, you maximize the ability to make effective decisions and minimize the control that negative emotions have over your life. What did the football team do? E plus R equals O. And Scott, they wore the bands. E plus R equals O. Well, I did some research. I said, how did they know this? I wanted to go in and share this with them. Of course, I'm short, and I'm a woman, and I'm just not in there the way Ted Kite is. Tim Kite. Brilliant guy. Brilliant. So I looked it up and I said, he is so smart. Because he went in and spent time with them and said E plus R equals O. Every time something goes wrong, it's just an event. If something doesn't work out the way you want, it's just an event. The key is the response. The key is the response. How are you going to handle yourself when that event occurs? That's what did it. And that's why they used that formula. And how powerful was that? That a young man who had never played with the team gets up and goes, okay, it's just an event. Win. Win. 3 times in a row, because it was just an event. Instead of, oh my God, stress. What am I going to do? This is the big time. This is my first time playing. Calm down. It's an event. It's not a good event or a bad event. It's just an event. That's the brilliance. That Urban Meyer used something so profound, and it got the team to work together. And they weren't ungrateful. Every time a problem happened, what did they do? Just an event. Keep going. You can do this. It's just an event. Go on with it. And I implore you to think about this. That when you're sitting in traffic, it's just an event. When you're in front of that difficult person, it's just an event. When you forget to do something, it's just an event. Because time is unforgiving and it keeps on going. And you have to grasp it every moment. And the more you're grateful, the more stable, the healthier your relationships, the better you are at completing tasks, the clearer you're thinking. It's just a matter of being grateful. Now you might say, well, that's really fluff. Let me tell you the scientific background. That when you are grateful, it changes the neural pathways of the brain. And as the neural pathways shift, and you think of things differently, thank you, Rita, she's nodding, so you know this, that when you change those neural pathways, it actually changes your psyche, the way you operate, you shift at the cellular level. So when you're grateful, you're not all tense. You're actually allowing the information to flow. You allow the myelination of the information to go through into every part of your body so that you can feel relaxed, and then you can think more clearly. We don't get enough oxygen when we're tense. So when you breathe deeply, you actually have the opportunity to allow yourself to take in all of the information and to be able to evaluate, how can I use this? How can I make this work for me? If we were all more grateful for what we have, I think we would all be better off. But we forget about these things, and we're not grateful, even in that moment. On my way here, I thought how fortunate we all are to live in a country with such abundance. The abundance is almost obscene, because we have so much, and people aren't grateful. When I traveled for 16 years all over the world. And I spent 6 weeks in Southeast Asia by myself, just traveling and teaching, conducting seminars. And I remember the one day I had bought a little notepad that didn't fit into my planner. I thought it might, it didn't, so I took it back to the store. I was in Manila. Madam, we don't return things. You're American, aren't you? I said, yes. Oh, yes. You don't like something, you throw it away. You don't like something, you get rid of it. You don't like something, you return it. Here we don't buy unless we know we're going to use it. They never did take it back because they don't have a return policy. Can you believe it? No return policy. And then I thought, my goodness, we can come and go and do, and we go to the grocery store to buy groceries. And we can eat on the way because there's fast food. So if we're hungry, we don't have to wait to pick it up at the grocery store and take it home and cook it because we can eat on the way. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing what we have. And I am so glad, and I mentioned it to your name, and we were standing outside doing the...
McGee?
Yes, McGee. We stood outside and did the Pledge of Allegiance and the flag thing. I said, oh, this is so nice. There are so many places that we forget that we live in this country, and that we forget to pray and be thankful. He said, yes, I know, and we used to do that in grade school, where we used to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I said, I went to Catholic school, we used to pray every morning. Yay! I don't know what happened. So this is a form of prayer, folks. Being grateful is a form of prayer. It's a form of saying, thank you. Thank you, I'm here. Thank you, I'm alive. Thank you, I'm doing my best. And remember, you always move in the direction of your innermost thought. If your innermost thought is, this will never work, you're right. But if your innermost thought is, I'll do the best I can, you're also right. I implore you to be grateful every day. And I have a little exercise for you at the end. When your day begins, start with a gratitude exercise. When I worked at Ohio State University, actually, I had my team start with a gratitude exercise every morning. What are we grateful for today? Well, that so-and-so, that mother called yesterday, and I said, why are we grateful to her? Why are we grateful that she called and complained about her child? What does that do? It makes us better. It makes us be alert. It makes us realize that she does care. We have to look at the value of something and be grateful. So we used to have a gratitude exercise every morning. When you breathe in, you breathe to the count of 3, hold it for the count of 3, breathe out for the count of 3. Just do that while you're in the car. Do it in the morning when you get up. Do it when you're feeling tense. Do it when you're sitting going, oh my God, I have so much to do. Stop. Take a deep breath. I call those the commas of life. Comma, stop a minute, and then you're fine. So I wanted to share this with you and give you the opportunity to take this and then use it. You know, there's so much that we know. And I've had people tell me in seminars, I'm sure you're familiar with this, Stephen, I've had people in seminars say, well, I know all this stuff. Yeah, I know all this. And I say, yeah, that's great. I'm so glad you know, but you know, I don't care what you know. I care with what you do. I care that you do what you know. So now that you know, that you can't be stressed and grateful simultaneously. Go figure. I'd choose gratitude, wouldn't you? There you go. Thank you.
Thank you.